Your teaching point today is I can write an all about. The goal of this informational writing lesson is for you to be using a teacher tone and writing a minimum of one paragraph that is 4 to 6 sentences in length all about one of your topics. Let's take a look at what this would look like. First of all, we know from our checklist that overall our writing must teach readers different things about a subject. I would put facts, details, quotes, and ideas into each part of my writing. We also know that we need to make choices about which information was best to include and which stuff we don't really need to include. And finally, we need to use our teaching tone. To do so, I would use phrases such as, "that means," or "what that really means," and "let me explain." So let's take a look at our note sheet. So whenever we start one of the sections of our writing piece, we go right back to our reading notes. On this sheet, we have information all about why people came to and from America, and all about Ellis Island. I know that the first chapter of my book is all about immigration in general. Even looking at these two note parts, which information do I need to include? Which do I not need to include? Right, I do need to include this information that people left for America in search of a better life. And then I can give some different examples. These examples are my facts, my details, or my quotes. Let's take a look at the paragraph that I've already written. Again, we need to know that overall we have facts, details, quotes, and ideas in every part. We need to only include information that fits, and we need to use a teacher tone. So what I have so far is this. While our focus is on explaining the importance of Ellis Island and push and pull factors, it's important to first understand the background on what immigration is in general. This sounds more like an introduction, and we know that yesterday we rewrote this to be our introduction, so I'm going to take and just cross this section off. I don't need this anymore. I also know that this is now chapter 2, all about immigration. Moving on then, listen for my facts, my details, my quotes, or my ideas in my first paragraph. Chapter 2, all about immigration. What is an immigrant? Have you or anyone in your family ever lived in another country or state? If so, they are an example of someone who emigrated from another place. For example, if the family member came from another state, we would say they are a migrant. If they came from another country, they are an immigrant. So far, we know that this paragraph is good because it introduces the topic by asking a question. Each of our topics or each of our paragraphs does need to start just like a regular introduction by telling an interesting fact, asking a question, or telling a quick story. We also know this is a good paragraph because it has between 4 to 6 sentences. We also know it's a good paragraph because it has some facts, and they all fit together. What else do you notice I have included in this paragraph? If you said bold words, you're right. If you come across a word that you think your reader might not know, you need to put it as a bold word. Out of these 3 things up top, my overall, what to include or not to include, and a teaching tone, which of these do I not have at this point? If you said that I was missing the teaching tone, you are correct. I did use some transitions. I said, for example, if so, if they came from another country, they are an immigrant. But I didn't use one of these 3 things to directly teach. So I could change my for example. So here it says, if so, they are an example of someone who emigrated from another place. What this means, or that means, so I'm going to change this to that means if a family member came from another state, we would say they are a migrant. What starter could we put maybe before this last sentence of if they came from another country, they are an immigrant? The example you just saw was a great example of a level 3 work. It was one simple paragraph, it had facts, it included information that all fit together, it used a teaching tone. If you are shooting for a level 4, I would like to show you what that looks like down below. First of all, we know that, again, this is actually chapter 2. We know that we aren't including this. To make this a level 4, I have other subheadings or other headers. I have multiple bold words. And I have a couple paragraphs within here. So I said, what is an immigrant? We've read this before. Here's paragraph 1. Here's paragraph 2. How and why did they come to America? Paragraph 1, paragraph 2, paragraph 3. So if you are wanting to get a level 4, use this as an example, but make sure you always have 4 to 6 sentences in each paragraph. So writers, today your goal is to write an all about. We can leave the example and those 3 reminders up on the board for you to take a look at as you work.